Hi everyone, my name is Piterpakulski. Today we'll continue building financial model of a manufacturing business idea. Today we will again be talking about direct expenses, and it is very important when you have some business idea to link all the direct expenses the right way. So what I'm talking about? So when your revenues are growing or decreasing, you have some types of costs that grow if revenue grow and decrease if revenue decreases. And when you have some business idea in mind, you have to create the algorithm for direct expenses to grow the right way when revenues grow and when revenues decrease. That's why you need to link these direct expenses to the right parameter. For example, some direct expenses are linked to the units of products produced. Some direct expenses are linked to the amount of hours that production line works during the month. And for example, some direct costs are linked to the amount of units of raw materials which participate in manufacturing processes. So that's why all direct expenses linked to different items, and in order to create the detailed and accurate financial model, you have to link these expenses to the right parameter. During previous videos, we already linked the direct expenses. We were linking direct expenses to units produced. We were linking direct expenses to the hours. We were calculating electricity costs, for example. Today we will be calculating direct expenses that are linked to the amount of raw materials. So first of all, let's create a new block of inputs. So let's call it direct expenses linked to raw materials. So this will be a new block of input. So here I will place the direct cost item name. Direct cost item name. So this will be direct cost item linked to raw materials. Name 1. So here will be the list of absolutely different direct cost items linked to the raw materials. So this is the input. So we are coloring this data with blue, because blue it is the unique color of all our inputs. We are creating a rule out of that. By the way, if you find this video valuable, you may give us a like, subscribe, share this video with your friends. You can also order financial models from scratch for your unique business ideas. We can help you with that. At the end screen of this video, I'll be sharing the link to the playlist where I will be placing all these tutorials from scratch, how I created this financial model. And when I will be done with this model, I will be giving the links on all tutorials in the description of this video as well. So you may watch all these tutorials from the very beginning. By the way, let's briefly, I will walk you through the model from the very beginning. So what we did, so we have product A and product B. We can switch on and off each product from calculations to see the cash flow statement with or without product A or product B. Here we have the manufacturing capacity for product A and product B, how many units of product A is being produced per hour. So these are global and local coefficients for scenario play. We have two production lines. We can switch on and off each line from calculations. Then we have for each line we can allocate the time, the 100% of time between manufacturing of product A and product B. Here is the allocation. So for example, if we allocate more than 100% of time, we'll be giving a mistake. So we have some check buttons. Then we specify when we start operating activity, when we get the first revenues, the year and month. Then we assume that we have, for each line, we have a maximum of 3 shifts, and we can switch on and off each shift from calculations to see the performance of our business idea with or without this shift. And also we can specify when each shift appears from the moment when we start operating activity. So first shift, let's assume that appears on the first month of operating activity, it's December 23. The second one will appear on the 15th month of operating activity. This will be February 25. And the third one will appear on the 20th month of operating activity. This will be July 25. The same story for line 2. Then we specify the duration of the shift. How many hours do we have in one shift? And then we have a typical year where we specify how many work days we have in each month. Maybe we have some seasonality, so here we can specify this seasonality. Then we move to raw materials which participate in a manufacturing process. So here we have the list of all raw materials. Here we specify how much we pay for 1 unit of this raw material. Here we have global and local coefficient for raw materials. And then we can also specify if there is any logistics displacement for this or that raw material to appear on site. So for example, 0 means that we don't have any displacement to the left. 3 means that we have 3 months displacement, so we need 3 months earlier to purchase this raw material, and it will take us 3 months to deliver this raw material on site to use it in our manufacturing process. So we have to buy it 3 months earlier. So we need this stuff to calculate the amount of financing that we need to start the business. Here we can specify the purchase interval as well. So what does it mean? So some raw materials will be purchased once a month. Some of them will be purchased once in 2 months, or once in 3 months, or once a year. So if here we place, for example, 6, this means that this raw material is purchased once in 6 months, and this will allow us to calculate the amount of money which we need to start the business during, especially this is valuable for the first several months of operating activity. So that's why we need these we're in need of these blocks of inputs, because this will allow us to see what is the real amount of money that we need for our business idea. Then we specify for each product that we produce, we specify what raw materials participate in manufacturing of this product. Then we specify the consumption of this raw material, to, how many units of this raw material is needed to produce one unit of product A. So here we specify the consumption for product A, then for product B, then we move to investment plan. So here we specify what we invest in. This is a 2-year investment plan before we start the operating activity. Here we specify when we invest in and how much we invest in this or that investment plan item. Then we move to we start moving to the revenues. To the payroll. So here we have the global coefficients for coefficient for all the payroll expenses. So here we have line 1, the list of positions. Here we specify the salary of one person on each position, and then we specify how many people work with this position if the manufacturing works 1 shift a day, 2 shifts a day, or 3 shifts a day. This is the amount of people if the production line works 1 shift, 2 shifts, or 3 shifts a day. Here we have global coefficients for salary for line 1, local coefficients for salaries for line 1, and global coefficients for all salaries. So this is the payroll for line 1. This is the payroll for line 2. Then we have some kind of payroll which is not linked to how many lines are working at this or that moment. So these are management positions, office positions. Here we specify how many people work on each position, the salary of one person on each position, and as usually local and global coefficients for future scenario play when we see finally the cash flow statement. Then we move to direct expenses that are linked to the units of product A and product B produced. So we have the names for direct cost items for product A, then we specify how many units of this direct expense is consumed to produce one product A. This is global coefficient, local coefficient, and this is the direct payroll, which is linked to the amount of product A units produced. So this is direct payroll linked to the amount of products produced, product A and product B. Then we start talking about the revenues. So we assume that we have 3 types of customers for each type of product. And then we allocate the percentage of units produced between these 3 types of customers for each product A and B. And then we have global coefficient for pricing. Then we have local coefficient for product A pricing, local coefficient for product B pricing, and sublocal coefficients for every type of customer. So we may have different prices for different types of customers for product A and product B. So these are these prices, and then we specify how this or that type of customer pays us. So this type of customer pays us, for example, we sold today and we got 30% of revenues this month, then 20% of today's revenues, this month's revenues we will get next month, and the least percentage we will get the month after the next month. Or for example, the next type of customer has a bigger price, but we sold today, but all the revenues from this deal will appear on the next month. So this we will need this algorithm to displace the revenues to the right inside the timeline, and we will be able to see some operating losses, and we will have to cover all these losses, and this will increase the amount of financing that we need to start this business idea. So this will affect financing of our business idea, so this algorithm. So this will affect revenues, and this will affect the amount of financing. So this is very important part for scenario modeling, for future scenario modeling. Then we move to electricity costs. So we specify what is the price for electricity, dollar per kilowatt. Here we have the coefficient for electricity. Then we specify how many kilowatts per hour we consume for line 1 and for line 2, and then we get the electricity costs. And now we are moving to direct costs that are linked to the raw materials. So here we specify the direct cost item, then we specify raw material, where this direct expense goes. So here I will use data validation. I will go up, and then I will be searching for the direct cost library. So these are raw materials. I'm selecting them all in one list. So this will be the input, so I'm coloring this with blue. So here I will be placing I will be selecting where does this direct cost item go. So this is the article of raw material. This is the direct cost item where this is the raw material where it goes, and then we will place consumption dollar per unit of raw material. So here let's make just some assumptions. So dollar per unit of raw material. Then let's add local coefficient. Then global coefficient. So local coefficient will be 100%. Global coefficient I will place it here, format cells. This will be final value. So what I will do, I will take this value, multiply this coefficient, local and global. So now let's extrapolate this formula to the right, down. Now let's consolidate direct costs to raw materials consolidation. So how this table will look like? So this will be direct cost item, let's say raw material. This will be raw material. This will be dollar per unit of this raw material. So the list of raw materials I will put from here. So here will be the list of raw materials. Then here I have the list of different direct expenses per one unit of this raw material. This is the consumption in dollars, so I will be using sum if function, sum if. So the range I will be using, for range I will be using this area. Then I will be freezing this table. Then criteria will come from here, and the summing range I will be pulling from here. I'll be freezing this table as well. Then I'm pressing enter. So if we look here, so the total is 132. The totals of that column is 132 as well. So for example, we will be using some direct cost item linked to the raw materials, for example, to direct cost to the raw material number 2. Here we see 9. This 9 flies here. Or for example, we have some another direct cost item linked to the raw material number 2, for example this one. So here we can specify all this data. Then we have consolidated dollar per unit of this direct cost expense per 1 unit of raw material. And now we need to link these expenses to the amount of raw materials needed. So I will copy this table, then I will name this table direct costs linked to raw materials. Units monthly. So here I will place the list of raw materials which participate in our production process. Raw materials, let's say no, raw materials, raw monthly natural units. So what I will do, I will go up and I will find the raw materials needed. So this is the library of raw materials. Then this is
the consolidation amount of raw materials needed without displacement. We will take these values and divide. So this is in dollars, nominated lines, and then we will divide it by the price per unit of this raw material. And if error, we will put here a 0.
Then we press enter. By the way, we need to use the coefficient, not this. Let's displace it to the right, so the price will use price with all these coefficients. Let's check it. So now we're calculating the amount of raw materials in units needed for our production process for product A and product B. So this is the amount of raw materials in their natural metrics needed for our manufacturing program. And now we have our direct expenses in dollars per 1 unit of this raw material. So now we just need to multiply this value, dollar per unit of raw material, on the amount of raw materials needed on this and that, or needed monthly. So this will be direct costs linked to raw materials. This will be dollars monthly. So what I will do, I will just simply multiply the amount of raw materials needed in units and multiply on this dollar per unit of raw material. Then I will freeze this column. Extrapolating this formula to the bottom and to the right, to the whole of our timeline. So, how all this stuff works? So these lines will go to the cash flow statement, so we are marking them with red. They will go later to the cash flow statement. So for example, we have some let's say, for example, so we have some direct expenses linked to the direct cost item number 4. For example, this is the we need to unload the raw materials, and we will be paying $20 per 1 unit of this raw material. So to unload the raw materials, we will so this will be the name of cost will be unloading of for example this or that raw material. Then we specify what raw material this will be, so this is raw material number 4, and for this procedure we pay $20 per one, for example, cubic meter of this raw material. For example, clay or metal or something like that. So raw material is called metal or clay, and we pay, for example, $20 per 1 ton of clay or metal to unload it. So here we specify what is the price. Then here we can see that for this goes with, for example, clay, and here we can see how many, for example, tons of clay we need monthly, and this is the amount of costs for unloading the clay monthly. So the algorithm is very simple for these types of this type of cost. So here we specify the article, then we specify what raw material, where does this article go, with which raw material this article plays. Then we specify how many dollars per one unit of this raw material we pay as a cost. Then we consolidate all the expenses linked to this raw material. Then we calculate how many tons or cubic meters we need monthly for this or that raw material. Here it is. And then we just multiply natural units of this raw material. We multiply it on the this raw material costs per one unit of this clay or metal or anything else. So why I decided to show you this video? Because you have to think hard about your business idea and try to remember to which parameter this or that direct cost item depends on. So for example, this type of expenses, these are links, they are linked to the natural units of raw materials needed for the production process. Some of raw materials are linked to the produced units of product A and product B. So this is the ready to use. Then some direct costs are linked, like electricity. It is linked to the amount of hours that product line 1 and line 2 operates during the month. And you have to look at your business idea and think that make a decision. So these expenses are linked to this. These expenses are linked to that. So this is linked to raw materials. This is linked to ready products. This is linked to the amount of hours that production line works. This is linked to something else. And it is very important, because when you start playing with scenarios, your revenues, your expenses must grow the right way or decrease the right way. And this will affect the payback period, this will affect the amount of money you will need. So this is very important. So that's why I decided to show you this video. So I hope you enjoy it. You may give us a like, subscribe, share this video with your friends. You can also order financial models from scratch for your unique business ideas. We can help you with that. At the end screen of this video, I'll be sharing the link to the playlist where all this information will be placed. And when we will be done with this financial model, I'll be placing the links to these tutorials in the description of this video as well. So see you guys in next videos. Thank you and bye.